G'day everyone. By now, we're getting familiar with these videos from our homes, and even the professionals are doing without the great sound editors and videographers, so please bear with me. Welcome to my backyard. I thought it was a beautiful day and a great way to start out. I'm Sue Fletcher, and my primary job is serving as a curriculum coordinator for Ohio University's first-year office. My background is in communication writing studies. I've been an educator for most of my career, helping students succeed in college, and many of the principles of success that I teach students, I think, apply just as readily in the workplace. So let's get started. Pandemic of Fear and Agony is a New York Times column written by David Brooks. In it, he asked readers to open up about their mental states during this time. A woman from Pennsylvania wrote that the anxiety she feels leaves her mentally drained, more irritable, unable to focus. She said, "I think of it like having a few large apps on my phone that are running and draining the battery even when I'm not using them." This is a hard place to be, and perhaps you can relate to some of her feelings. Brooks writes, "Character is formed in times like this. People see deeper into themselves, bravely learn what their pain is teaching them, and become wiser and softer as a result." I certainly hope this person from Pennsylvania is able to do that, and that's part of my goal today, to show ways that we can persevere in the face of anxiety, that we can push through in adversity that we might be facing right now. What Brooks is talking about is the interrelationship of three important concepts that I want to focus on: resilience, grit, and growth mindset. So the important place to start is to define what I mean by these terms. Resilience is the optimism to continue when times are tough, and when we experience some failure and we keep pushing forward, drawing often on strengths that we gained in our past. It's the end result that comes from grit. Grit is the drive that keeps us on a difficult task over a sustained period of time. It is what we do during a tough time. And growth mindset is how we get there. Angela Duckworth is a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania who studied grit, and in her TED Talk, linked at the end of this video, she says that the best idea for building grit is to develop a growth mindset. Growth mindset is an idea developed by Dr. Carol Dweck and is defined as holding the belief that our ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with time, effort, and practice. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids, and I would venture to say adults too, learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, when they are encouraged to believe that their abilities are not fixed, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail or when they struggle. The term often used to describe the ability of the brain to constantly learn is neuroplasticity, which simply means that the brain is flexible. New pathways can form with practice and repetition. And this is not only how we learn new procedures or tasks, but also how we change our thinking patterns through practice and repetition. The emphasis is on effort. The opposite, a fixed mindset, views our ability to adapt and change as dependent on natural abilities and circumstances. You can see in this chart how it contrasts the differences in the two mindsets. It's important to note that mindset is a continuum, not an either-or. And we may have a fixed mindset in one area, and we can have a growth mindset in another. How we perceive our previous experiences can have a lot to do with it. It's also not hard to see which one is preferable just by looking at the words outlined in red. Growth mindset welcomes feedback, is inspired by others' successes, welcomes challenges, while fixed mindset ignores feedback, feels threatened by other successes, and avoids challenges. Most of us are somewhere in between, and in today's unsettled times, this could even vary day to day. Our mindset is how we think. It's not a personality trait. And because of our brain's wonderfully designed neuroplasticity, we can change. The goal, and my hope, is that by just becoming more aware of your mindset tendencies, that you may have more days of growth mindset thinking than fixed. When people have a fixed mindset, they're much more likely to give up or harbor negative feelings and views of themselves and their situation. As adults, it's easy to hold that more fixed mindset belief that we can't possibly learn to work in new ways or adapt to change after doing a task a specific way for a long time. But in fact, studies have shown that learning new things is considered one way to stave off the onset of Alzheimer's. I'm in just for that alone. Perhaps you have been in a steep learning curve right now, as I have, learning to manage working remotely and new ways to communicate with coworkers and supervisors. So, how are you embracing that? Are you employing a more fixed mindset perspective or growth mindset perspective? One way or another, we do get through the challenges. Growth mindset helps put us on the road to resilience. So, if you're curious about your current level of grit and growth mindset, please check out the 2 quiz links below and pause this video to just see where you are on that scale. Maybe you once heard a parent say to a frustrated toddler, "Use your words." Well, we might not be frustrated toddlers, but how we use our words really is the key to our mindset. So let's look at these 2 ideas in both fixed and growth mode. I cannot handle doing all this work remotely. It just can't be done. Versus, working remotely is difficult. With some adjustments, though, I can manage it. Which sounds better? It's kind of obvious, right? How about this one? I am so done with all this technology like Zoom and Teams, I give up. Or, it can be frustrating to learn new technology, but we're all learning, and I'm gaining a new skill I did not have. It's so easy to fall into that negative way of talking, especially when we're frustrated. This is just a demonstration to help you see the difference in just changing how we talk about something that we may have a fixed mindset view of. And so next time, try to catch yourself and rephrase and see if it helps you reframe. So let's get to the practical. Where are you struggling with mindset? Is there an area where you have a tendency towards more fixed mindset type of thinking? Do you work with some people who are struggling to find their grit and resilience, who could really use a growth mindset way of thinking right now? Most importantly, what are ways you can practice or adopt a growth mindset or help others to do so? So I have 5 major practices to recommend. First of all, how you talk can help rewire how you think. To develop a growth mindset towards a particular task or work situation, think about how you talk about problems, struggles, and negative interactions, like we practiced a moment ago. Associate, with appropriate social distancing, of course, with people who have a growth mindset about the work you do. How can you tell? Probably because they talk in terms of possibilities and effort, and not what doesn't work and blaming others when things go wrong. Third, adopt flexible thinking patterns. Think in terms of yes and instead of yes but or no because. We're much more likely to say, yes, we need a new blank, but we can't afford it. Instead, try, we need a new blank, and we will search for funding opportunities. This is where your resilience, that optimism that comes from a growth mindset can shine when things look perhaps not so good. And you just may be that person that comes up with that solution that no one would have thought of. Fourth, set small daily goals. I find sticky notes are really the best for this. Persevering through the long haul, to get that grit and drive to keep going, we need to see progress, even if it's just a little bit. And so setting small daily goals can see us through the changes that this pandemic has brought on our work life. Those small daily goals not only help you, but they might help your team also see that progress. Each day, I try to watch Governor DeWine's news conference. And even though Dr. Acton is not always delivering the good news, she's so great at demonstrating a growth mindset. When I watch her presentation, she helps us see that the progress that our sacrifices of personal freedom and our normal routines, they really are making a difference in our long-term safety here in Ohio. When you can see the progress on your small goals in your workplace, it's so much easier to see that big project get done. Finally, build time into your day for self-reflection. A short journal, or even a sticky note, or tell a friend. This is an important time to reflect and be intentional in everything we do, right down to even when we shop and how often we leave our homes. It's not a common thing we do to think about our thinking, but when we do, change is more likely to happen. In years to come, looking back at that journal, in some future moment of stress, maybe it'll bring you that resilience you needed for some new challenge. Hopefully, nothing ever again as serious as the pandemic we're facing right now. Grow. Developing a growth mindset is not a quick fix. It's not a replacement for real effort and hard work, and in fact,
Growth mindset is all about believing that we can do the hard work and effort that we need on those projects that we care about. Stuff is going to happen. Things might go wrong. There might be failure. But it's how you manage it, how you talk about it, how you think about it that makes all the difference. So I challenge you, find something that you want to adopt a growth mindset about. Maybe that one thing that's really frustrating you right now. Or encourage growth mindset thinking in your team and how you communicate with each other. So be well, stay home, take care. Good day, everyone.